Awareness Show, where we have open conversations with the youth about mental health. I am your host, Katinda Ndola, and in today's show, we are so blessed to be in the presence of three amazing panelists. Our first panelist is Carolina Modesto. Carolina is a Global Youth Mental Health Awareness Deputy Chairperson, Recruitment and Advocacy Manager at Teach for Australia. Hello and welcome to the show, Carolina.
Thank you so much, Katinda. It's a pleasure to be here.
And our second panelist is Edith Wanyonyi. Edith is obviously, you've seen her in the first two shows. She's here again with us. Thank you, Edith, for coming on to be our resident counseling psychologist. She's also a passionate humanitarian and mental health enthusiast, and she's also an ambassador at the Global Youth Mental Health Awareness and a Global Goodwill Ambassador. Hello and welcome to the show, Edith.
Thank you so much, Katinda.
And our third panelist is Ogbonna Joshua Uchenna. Joshua is a brand ambassador of African Project Against Suicide, APAS, and head of ICT and African Transformer Institute, ATI. Hello and welcome to the show, Joshua.
Thank you, Katinda. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Now, in our conversation today, we will be sharing, educating, and talking about the effects of social discrimination on youth mental health and possible solutions. So how are we feeling this evening or this morning for you, Joshua? How are we all feeling?
Well, I'm feeling great. At least in the midst of the brutality and chaos in Nigeria, I'm still healthy and I'm alive. I'm safe. So
great. What about you, Carolina?
I'm feeling pretty good as well. Thank you. It was a beautiful and sunny day in Melbourne today, and I worked from home, but the things are looking better in Melbourne now, in Victoria, and yeah, just grateful.
Oh, fantastic. What about you, Edith? How are we feeling this afternoon? I think it's afternoon for you over there.
Yeah. I'm feeling really great and looking forward to this conversation. Yeah.
Thank you. So just as we begin this conversation, I want to start with Carolina. What inspires you?
That's such a great question to start with. I would say that a lot of things inspire me, but especially inspiring leaders. I get really inspired by people who can demonstrate passion and leadership and help others in first place. So I usually try to read books about inspiring leaders like Malala, Nelson Mandela, Obama, Michelle Obama, and they really inspire me because I always can learn something new from them.
Great. What about you, Joshua?
Well, I get inspiration from my environment. I get inspiration to help people. When I help people, I get motivated. I see myself as a problem solver. So I make sure I connect with the necessary people who school me through mentorship and train me and equip me with the necessary qualities I need to be a problem solver in my communities.
Fantastic. And Edith, what about you? What inspires you?
I'm inspired by making a difference or change in the society and in people's lives. Yeah.
Fabulous. Okay, so as we continue, we're going to be talking about the effects of social discrimination on youth mental health and possible solutions. So first of all, what is social discrimination? Who wants to answer that?
I can start. So social discrimination is when a person is treated differently, not in a good way, because of some aspect of their identity. And social discrimination is against law. It's really important to emphasize this. There are different things that can be included as social discrimination, like race, religion, ethnicity, age, disability, body size like height and weight, sexuality, and gender identity as well. There are like two types of discrimination. There's that kind of direct discrimination is when someone treats a person, for instance, a person with disability unfairly or less fairly because of their disability. An example of that might be telling you that your child can take part in a playground because his appearance would upset their parents or other parents and children. And can be an indirect discrimination as well, as when a person, for instance, a person with disability is prevented from doing something a person without disability can do.
Right, right. Thank you for that. What about Edith or Joshua? What would you like to add on to that?
Okay, I'd say that social discrimination is an unfair or unequal treatment of a person or a particular group. So we have like two groups in the society. So we have the dominant group and the minority group. So this dominant group has the privileges, it has the status, and it has the power, while the minority group is powerless and is marginalized. So there is always this discrimination or unfair treatment on the minority group. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Joshua, did you want to add on to that?
Yes, they did justice to it. I want to add that it's a sustained inequality in a sense that it is something that comes to become a culture in people because of the social stratification, because it happens in a social system. So because of the social stratification in society, some people feel more superior than others. So those people who they feel are inferior have less values to them. So they discriminate, they deny them some rights, maybe because of their gender, height, weight, religion, or maybe membership in a school of thought or an ideology.
Right, right.
Thank you.
And what are, yes, and what are the common examples of social discrimination?
What are the common examples of social discrimination? Okay, some common examples of social discrimination could be seen in the workplace. You see, most companies here, they don't employ pregnant women. So now, because you will now want to raise children, they discriminate against you. So it's a social injustice. And also, most times in the wage rate, you find out that, like in my country here, people who have HND, higher national diploma, and BSc, they don't have the same wage rate, but they are equivalent. They have equivalent certifications. So now some people feel inferior because these people earn higher than us, but we went to the same higher institution. So in the workplace, you could see it. Also, even in our legislative systems, in our legal framework, you could see the constitution regarding some people as minorities. What do you mean by minority? A minority is somebody who has a lesser value, whose opinion cannot be heard, somebody that might be seen as insignificant. So it's also a part of the constitution I've seen, the legal framework upholds it, but they don't know that that is what they actually trying to do. Maybe they did the law to favor these people, but at the end, you see that the majority group will use it against them, depriving them some rights. Even in employment, some schools have been discriminated. Like a friend told me a story where we went for an interview and they said if you're from so university, they mentioned the university, stand up and go. So some people took like 1 hour, 30 minutes before they left because they felt inferior. They didn't know even how to stand up. So imagine passing through that process for a long time. It now make you to be develop phobia for others. So it's a kind of culture in my place. Discrimination is seen everywhere in terms of religion. Of course, you could see some religious group killing the others, denying them job opportunities or government empowerment because they are in positions of authority. There are a lot of discriminations. Okay, ladies or girls in this country or women are not being given equal opportunity in terms of leadership. Of course, in our culture, only men are monarchs, only men are kings. You cannot have a woman to be a queen. So you know what that means. But there are women who are capable of leading the society. So just like in Nigeria, for instance, you find out that the presidential ticket is given to a man in every political party. Why should that be so? That's an injustice. We are discriminating in terms of gender. So it's all around us here. It's evident in all our practices, even in the religious sectors. Women are not allowed to preach. They are not allowed to do some certain things. So it is a culture. That's why in my definition I say it's a culture. It's actually a culture. The examples are not perfect. They are within us.
Right, right.
Thank
Anyone
you.
wants to add into that?
Um, yes, I would say that some types of discrimination are really obvious, while other types are not. So like Joshua was saying, but they can all still affect people. In some ways, discrimination might happen are when others call other people with racist names or treats them badly or unfairly, or another type is when someone commits a hate crime against you or hurts you physically with abuse and violence, um, doesn't respect your identity, beliefs, or opinions as well. Or there's a kind of exclusion that one person does to another person on purpose, or that kind of discrimination when someone hurts you emotionally, verbally, and emotionally. So there's a kind of emotional abuse as well. I was reading a research this morning that says that as part of a new research with Australians, where I am at the moment, people under the age of 25, LGBTI people, and racial minorities are mostly likely to report experiences of major discriminations. And 27% of Australians have experienced other forms of everyday discrimination, at least weekly, such as being treated with less respect or harassment or called of, all sort of racist names. So this is really alarming.
Wow, wow. That's amazing. That's very insightful. What about Edith? Did you want to add on to this?
Yeah, we have discrimination of all kinds, ranging from unemployment, housing. For example, you'll find that maybe someone with a mental health disorder will not be given housing by the, maybe they'll just have problems with housing, employment, or even just how they are treated generally. So we have discrimination all over, and it's not a good thing. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. That is awesome. Now, how does social discrimination affect the mental health of a youth? Who
Okay,
wants to answer that?
let me go with that. So what discrimination does is that it causes a person to have to isolate themselves and even just have the inferiority complex. So this could lead to so many mental health issues. So we could have issues such as fear and anxiety issues. It could lead to depression and also post-traumatic stress disorder, depending on how a person has been treated. So yeah, youths are likely to be affected. Their mental health is likely to be affected just depending on how they've been discriminated. Yeah.
Anyone else wants to add to that?
I
Yes.
think
How
that, oh,
Yep,
go
I'll
ahead.
ask the question again. How does social discrimination affect the mental health of a youth?
You go, Josh. I'll go last.
Go ahead. Go. Okay. Okay. Social discrimination affects youth majorly because as young people, they are coming up to embrace or to witness the ill treatments on them and maybe on their friends or their family members. Now, you develop this phobia, they grow to become wicked. They have this mindset, we are not accepted in the society. So most times they create an environment too where they don't accept others. So you find out that in that kind of environment, you have two classes of people who these people will hate us and then will hate the other. It leads to hopelessness. At some point, if you face discrimination, you find out that some people lose hope in life. It could lead to suicide because nobody's accepting them. You are deprived your political rights, you're deprived employment, you are deprived a lot of things. So you actually find out that you might lose hope in all the things you do. It leads to high blood pressure. Some people suffering from illnesses, maybe like hepatitis and a lot of illnesses. You find out that if you discriminate, like they might develop high blood pressure, they might isolate themselves, they will not become self-confident again to do anything because they find out that the world has rejected them. The environment does not want to associate with them. So it has a lot of effects on the youth. Thank you.
Yeah, Carolina, did you want to add to something?
I think they put it very well. They explained both of them really well. I would like to say that discrimination can lead to feelings of sadness, lack of trust, lack of confidence, reduced self-worth, post-traumatic stress, feelings of isolation, exclusion. And for young people, these issues are typically magnified with the challenges of modern life, the pressure to fit in with groups, and the inevitable transition into adulthood, as well as all the responsibilities that these include. So discrimination in particular, I think, poses a real threat to young people, mental health and well-being, their ability to seek help, to express themselves, to negotiate relationships with others, and manage their feelings and lives in general. So nobody wants to experience that. No adult and no young people want to experience that. And the base of this is the respect. We are going to talk about solutions later, so I'll keep it short here.
Sure. Now, and how can we, well, you're still there, Carolina, how can a youth navigate through social discrimination in the society?
Right. I've got a couple of ideas here. I think there's always something we can do, and nobody should face discrimination, but sadly, this is something that is happening every day in our society. And I'll give you 6 tips on how young people can navigate through this difficult situation. So first thing is actually to remember that difference is a good thing, and we are all unique. If we were all the same, life would be very, very boring. So focus on what makes you, focus on what makes you unique. This is super powerful. Secondly, there's some other things that you can do as well. It's really great and it's really okay to get support from others and things that you need through a friend, have a chat with a family member, a teacher, or someone from your community, or anybody you like or trust. Asking for help, no matter how big or small the issue you have might be, is often hard. It's a hard thing to do, but it's really, really important. Some people see like asking help as a weakness or as a negative thing, but this is not the case. And if you feel like you can always stand up for yourself and tell the other person who is discriminating that this is not okay. This is against the law. It's not okay to make anybody feel discriminated. So I think it's important to be assertive in if it's safe to do so and if you feel ready to do that. It's very important to anchor yourself with compassion and curiosity as well, and show your value and your strengths. I really love that Michelle Obama famous phrase that said, when they go low, we go high, right? And I think it applies really well to that. And I also would like to share a couple of other ideas. If like discrimination happens more than once and if keeps happening, it's very important to keep some evidence on a diary, or keep like the evidence on screenshots. If you need to escalate the problem to an adult or even to the police if you need. Discrimination is illegal, and you may need to alert the authorities if the problem cannot be solved with a conversation. Wow. Another thing, finally, is just if you see another person being discriminated, it's very important to call out the person and let them know that what they are doing is not okay. And there's a lot of organizations helping kids and young people, like Kids Helpline, and they're doing a great job. They are open 24/7 to anyone aged 5 to 25 years old. And, everybody can just give a phone call or have a chat with specialists.
Yeah, Carolina, it's interesting. I never actually thought of it as it's illegal to discriminate, because we don't get to hear about that. So people, I think, assume when that happens to you, it's something you're doing that maybe people don't like and they just pick on you. So I wasn't aware that it's actually an illegal act to discriminate against other people. I'm not talking in the sense like, I know certain types of discriminations are obvious, but others are not. So if somebody, if it was like young people discriminate against each other and it's not like an employer, when it's an employer-employee, it's very obvious. Then when it's young people and they discriminate against each other, how is that reported? How do you report that? Like, how can you do something about that apart from maybe reporting to an adult or to somebody who's maybe has authority who can clarify what they're doing is not correct? But it's interesting. It's a very interesting dynamic.
100%. It's very important to be aware of your rights, and there are a few organizations and authorities as well that people can report when they are discriminated.
Right. Anyone else has something to add on this one?
Yeah. What people can do to deal with discrimination is by focusing on their strengths. Mostly, when you focus on your strengths, it will help you, it will help you succeed in life. Also, by not dwelling on the discrimination, because you realize that when you dwell on it, it can easily affect your self-esteem, and so you could have feelings of suicidal feelings. So just don't dwell on what has been done to you, but rather find ways in which you can help yourself by thinking clearly, because when you do not think clearly, discrimination can easily stir up feelings of anger and frustration, and your reaction could be negative. So just have some time to think clearly, and also get involved in activities, online activities, maybe and groups that advocate against discrimination. And also you can seek professional help in case you're facing mental health challenges as a result of discrimination. It's important to seek professional help from mental health practitioners.
Yeah, but Edith, what about people who don't talk? There's a lot of people who go through, let's say they already have low self-esteem, so they can't focus on their strengths. They already have maybe mental health, but also they're introverts, they don't talk. So nobody would ever know what they're going through. How can those people get support?
Wow. They can easily get support from family, maybe. Okay, because now they're not talking about it, they can read on ways that they can promote their self-esteem or the challenges that they are going through, or just focus on what is going on, like the here and now. Focusing on the here and now, and meditation would also help. And also just maybe writing about it, and writing about it and meditating on it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Journaling and meditation, it's amazing. It does miracles. Joshua, did you have anything to add on this point?
Yes, they've said it all. I just want to throw more light on an important aspect that have helped me over the years, because I'm a kind of person, I have a small stature, so people look down on me, but there's something that have been my backbone: meditation. I dwell on my strengths. I look at my mentors. I look at my political, religious leaders and social leaders. I look at their achievements and I tell myself, if these people can get to this height, it means I can too. So no matter my status, no matter my gender, I cannot be limited. That this person discriminated against me is not a base for me to look down on myself. So I take my time, and if as religious beings too, our religious books have a lot to say about us, to tell us who we are. So reflect on those things. Take your time. Spend hours and days. Meditate. You find out that after meditation, that you become whole again, and you become bold to uh, go about your future, carry out your responsibilities without looking at the e-treatment you face every day. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, how can the government help reduce social discrimination?
Wow. the government has a lot to do if we are to reduce social discrimination. The first thing I would like to point out is I found out in most constitution of countries there are people regarded as minority groups. I don't I don't buy that idea. A minority is something or a person who is insignificant, who has less value, who has less right. So if you give it interpretation, you find out that you can easily discriminate against those people without anybody questioning you. By the way, they are minorities. They are not given equal opportunities in the legislative arm, judicial arm, and executive arm. They are most times whether they vote or they don't vote, it doesn't count. So you understand now. Bringing these people and calling them minority is just like making them not to be that relevant in the system. So we need to first of all revisit our constitutions, revisit our frameworks, our legal frameworks, revisit our culture, because most cultures prohibit a lot of people from active participation and deny them rights. So we need to do the underground work, and it starts from family too, because in families you find out that even some parents will discriminate against some of their children, prefer this person to the other, and it will cause hatred. Discrimination begins from the family. So I think we need to go down to the smallest unit of the society. If we can capture every family and where there will be no discrimination, you find out that the society will be a better place. That is what I think the way government should help. Then another thing is education. You find out that the mental experts are not much. We can carry mental health education to secondary schools and universities, tertiary institutions, because we need more workers, people who can look at a person and spot out, oh, this person is depressed. How can I help this person? So we need to educate them, online sensitizations. We need to carry the advocacy to the global communities and also reach the minute communities in our villages. I think this will go a long way in helping the government to mitigate the menace that social discrimination is causing in our societies. Thank you.
Joshua, I love what you said about charity begins at home, because really, at the end of the day, it starts in the home before people go out there and get help from other people. So that was amazing. Anyone else wants to add onto that point? How can the government help reduce social discrimination?
Yeah, we have government interventions, such as the government could come up with laws that prohibit discrimination. So they just set laws that says it's illegal for people to discriminate against others. Then they could hold campaigns and advocacy meetings against discrimination, and also just promoting diversity and helping people embrace other people as they are. So yeah, just by promoting diversity and also by having that policy of affirmative action, that there is equal distribution of resources to everyone. Yeah.
Carolina, did you want to add anything before we go on a break?
Yeah, sure. I think I believe that mental health and well-being and pathways towards more positive outcomes are not just responsibility of the government. It goes beyond government and the health sector. It is pretty important. However, we need a multidimensional approach as well as a cross-government approach to ensure that we really improve youth mental health in partnership with young people, with families, and with communities. I think they have to be involved in the design of these programs. We need to give them voice in the first place. And most importantly, their views and their voices must have a much greater influence on the programs that the government will deliver. So there's, I think, a range of strategies, like from a legal perspective, that the government can do, as Edith and Joshua pointed out pretty well. But I also believe that there's a need for a diversity of strategy that goes from, these macro systems, but also goes to communities, to education, to large and small institutions, to social networks, and in the individual level as well. We need education from the households, as everything starts in our house. So in individual level, we have to educate our children to be more tolerant, to respect others, to promote diversity, and to empower them to speak up and take action to support social inclusion. Social inclusion is that process of ensuring that all people, regardless of their race, their religion, their sexual orientation, their gender, their age, sorry, or their disability, everybody will be fully to contribute to society and accepted.
Thank you, thank you. Now we'll take a short break to hear from one of Jimia's students talking about the workplace Global Youth Mental Health Awareness online course. We'll be right back. Just put this on. Give me one moment. Does this work? Just sharing the screen. One moment.
Hello, everybody. I hope you all are having a wonderful day ahead. So, quick question: how are you? And on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your mental health status at your workplace? Is it a positive environment? Because I really hope it is. I know how it is when you have to work in a very stressful environment, and that is exactly why I took up the Workplace Youth Mental Health online course by Jimha School, and it completely changed my life. It completely changed the perspective through which I see the stress and strains that come with a particular job, and it made me into an individual that thrives phenomenally in a high-pressure situation. So a lot of young professionals, they find it difficult to transition into the work culture because they are still not aware of how to tackle the workplace issues regarding high pressure jobs, something that needs your extreme effort and high attention. And sometimes it may result in a burnout syndrome, right? And this course, the Workplace Youth Online Mental Health course, has a lot of phenomenal resources and points and downloadable formats that will give you an idea as to how to be strong and resilient during these times. And I would love for all of you to check this wonderful course out, and I'm sure it won't disappoint you. Also, something that I've, through my research, I've experienced is that companies which put in a strong workplace health strategy in place, be it mental health, physical health, and most importantly, mental health, because especially during these unprecedented times, people go through a lot. And if they have a strong mental health promotion strategy in their workplace, that is the best way to empowering their employees. For companies also, people who are in senior most levels, if they take up this course, they will know, they'll have their perspective on, okay, these are the issues that a young individual might face, and these are the solutions that I can easily implement to empower or make him feel better. So I'm sure you all will love this course, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And thank you again, Global Youth Mental Health Awareness Limited, for such a wonderful opportunity.
Thank you. That was awesome. Yeah, so we're back on, and we're talking about the effects of social discrimination on youth mental health and possible solutions. Now we're going to be talking about how does discrimination affect people of all walks of life? Carolina, did you want to tackle that? Because you were talking about that a little bit before.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think it affects people from all walks of life because everyone, unfortunately, is vulnerable to face discrimination at any stage of life, doesn't matter their age. And factors such as domestic violence or stigma or bullying when you are in school, or divorce. If your parents divorced, you can suffer discrimination because of that. Or if you have a disability, or if you are a Black person, you are more likely to have the stigma and suffer from discrimination. So, or maybe the place you were born or your cultural background. So I think everyone, unfortunately, is vulnerable for this. And there's another quote from Nelson Mandela that I really like that says, "History will judge us by the difference we make in the everyday lives of children." And I think we have to start by making a difference, with our children every single day in our homes to combat discrimination. And then when they become adults, they don't have this problem.
Yeah, they can be adults teaching others how to not be discriminated against as well.
Yeah.
Joshua, did you want to add something to that?
Yes. And thank you for the opportunity. In an environment where almost everybody is a discriminator, of course, everybody will experience discrimination. So it affects everybody. It affects every society because it has eaten deep in the fabrics of our culture. So what else is left? Every day we face it. Either you face it, people use derogatory marks maybe because of your stature, because of your weight, because of your disability, because of your gender. Here in Africa, we usually have tribal marks. So when you spot somebody, you just say, this person is from this tribe. Already you start discriminating. If it's a social gathering, you won't want that person to be your leader because maybe your parents have taught you because of your history that you're superior to the person, or one time you fought a war and you want those people, they are your slaves. So it's evident in our culture. So people still carry it to the workplace. When you're working with somebody that's not from your tribe, you try to favor those. If you're a manager, you try to favor those who are in your tribe, and the other ones will be left with nothing. If you're a leader too, you try to implement and empower people from your tribe or from your region, and you leave the other side. If you're a religious man too, you find out that you try to, in a way, to favor those who are still from your own side. So it's affecting everybody. It's something that we are facing every day here. Thank you.
Yeah, Edith, did you want to say something?
Yeah, let me say that discrimination is not inborn. It's something that is learned. So for someone to start discriminating against another person, it means that they've learned it from somewhere. And especially children usually pick up things so fast. So they learn so fast from adults. And so what we'll be doing is that we'll be raising a generation that is discriminating against another person, a generation of hatred, and just that. So it also affects the growth of the country. It impedes growth. People will hate on each other, and so it's just a disaster. So we all need to stop, and we all need to be examples of others. So we all need to stop all these things about discrimination. Yeah.
I know it's very deep rooted though, so it will take a long time, and I think it starts with us talking about it openly every day, because it's all about communication. It's all about educating. It's all about calling a thing when people actually do that. Because I find, with thinking of the Black Lives Matter, that always just triggers everybody because it takes us back to what's the history behind all this. And it gets really deep and painful as well. So moving on, would you say that the effects of social discrimination on individuals is associated with negative mental and physical health outcomes? Edith.
Yeah. I would say that uh, because physically, what discrimination does is that it stirs up the feelings of anger and desperation, and this could increase the hypertension of a person. And also mentally, a person is affected in such a way that they could have a low self-esteem. People could have the suicidal ideations because now they feel like they are rejected. The feeling of rejection and isolation, and just feeling that like they are unwanted in the society. So people will isolate themselves, they will not communicate about it. And so it will also lead to depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and all these mental health problems. So yeah, discrimination affects the physical and mental health.
Yeah. Anyone else wants to add into that?
I just like to add that I read a research saying that African Americans who suffer more discrimination, like you mentioned about the Black Lives Matter, and I just remembered that, Katina. They are more likely to have cardiovascular problems and diabetes as well, and they live less because of the effects of discrimination in their bodies and their physical health, not only the mental health as we discussed.
Wow, because they've got PSTD, it's generational. You know, you're born in this place where you just feel hated from day one. You just don't fit in. Nobody wants you.
Exactly. Not only that, I am from Brazil originally, and in Brazil we have a genocide, I would say, against Black people, police killing Black people every single day in the slums, and it's just a terrible situation. And some moms who live like in these poor areas, in more disadvantaged communities of Brazil, they just are considering not having children because they don't want to, you know, they can't cope with the stress of how it is to raise a Black kid in Brazil, because you know all the stress that this will generate in terms of the concerns of going to school and suffer violence and all sorts of discrimination. So there's a huge issue in Brazil at the moment. It's a kind of another Black Lives Matter movement over there.
Because I know there's a lot of friends that I have who say in America, especially because they live there, they say when your son or your child goes out, you're happy to see them back home safely because you just never know if that's the last time you see them. And that just puts so much pressure, not only on the young people, because you're letting them go because they have to do things, but they're out there afraid. So what does that do for the mental health? They're always constantly in this space of not knowing.
Yeah.
Wow. Joshua, did you have something to add onto this?
Yes, just a little. They've said it all. It has a lot to add to the negative behaviors in the society. In the part of the country where I'm residing presently, you find out that some people prefer animals even to some human beings because they are not from their tribe. So there is this school of thought that these people are infidel. They are not fit to live with us. They are not fit to be part of us. So they can go to the extent of killing you. That's why you have different sects arising every day, really from religion, different religious sects, different political sects, carrying arms and killing human beings. They don't even care what next. Their main intention is to eradicate everybody so that they will occupy the whole place. So such people are mentally ill. Of course, they need rehabilitation. You cannot actually say they are okay, because I don't see any reason why you should kill your fellow human being because he doesn't believe in the same system you practice. So it has a lot to cause in the mental health of individuals. Thank you.
Wow. And what are some possible solutions to negative consequences of social discrimination?
Some possible solutions, I think, first of all, is education. Education enlightens the mind, it enlightens the society. So if people right from the grassroots, right from childhood, could be taught to accept other people's differences, if you can tell them the beauty of diversities and they come to embrace it, they will see one another as a brother or a sister. They will come to work with people peacefully, and then they will come to cherish other people's culture. They will want to know more about your culture. Maybe you're an Hausa and I meet you. I want to know more about your culture because you're unique. Your way of dressing, your way of eating is unique. If I see a female, look, I'm a male, I want to know more about the female gender. I will be interested. So I think our families, our parents have a lot of roles to play. They have a lot of roles to play. Then also the religious leaders, I always like mentioning them because these people are saddled with a heavy responsibility. They can motivate you in the faith to kill, and you do that. So the religious leaders should come to tell people that no matter the tribe where you're from, no matter your gender, no matter the disability, illness you're suffering, that every human being is equal. We should tolerate and accept everybody. Then global mental health too. There should be an advocacy. Online people, thank God, cyberspace is dominating everything. So there should be a constant, um, a constant education on the social media and other global platforms, so that people can get to know. We can make use of seize the opportunities of social media and other web platforms to advocate for peace in the society. Thank you.
Wow. What about Edith? What are some possible solutions to negative consequences of social discrimination? What are your thoughts?
I think discrimination majorly comes from from a cultural background, because we have these stereotypes and prejudices that the culture holds. So as we said, some people may not even know that they're discriminating against another person because maybe they've been brought up with that mentality. So by just creating awareness and letting people know that some of these things are actually discrimination, and also holding campaigns, and yeah, that's creating awareness and education is very important, and having organizations that support the victims of discrimination is also very important. Yeah.
Well, Carolina, did you want to sum that up?
Sure, I'd love to. I think, first of all, some positive solutions would be challenge the mainstream discourse and things we usually see portrayed on the media. Um, Minorities and Black people are twice more likely to be portrayed in a negative way than white people. So we should challenge those kind of, mainstream discourse, as well as the status quo when it comes to discrimination. I also think that having positive role models and supporting each other is really, really important. So I remember that my dad used to show me pictures for high profile Black females and Black leaders, just to inspire me. And I think this is so important to have these positive role models and see, yes, there's no reason to discriminate nobody because of their race, their skin color, their religion. Everyone is capable to get there. And finally, I agree with Joshua about encouraging people to interact with different groups, encouraging, multicultural communities to interact with each other. There's another research that an interesting fact that I found, saying that in Australia, according to Inclusive Australia, it's an organization here, about 1 in 5 people never have any contact with an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people or with an LGBTI people. So 1 in 4 never have contact with religious minorities. So there's no unit, there's a polarization here, and we need to bring people together so they will know about each other, they will develop that sense of respect, admiration, tolerance. And there's a really nice thing that Inclusive Australia did to tackle this challenge. They started posting a series of everyday pictures and situations on Instagram account from different multicultural communities to break out our bubbles and see other people's stories. And I think this is really, really great. Yeah, so finally, I think it's really important, just to wrap up, to speak up as well when we have the issues with discriminations. Like I had the privilege to see Malala on an online event, and she said one of my favorite parts of the presentation is when she said, with time, you see that people start listening to you. What I've learned from my activism is that the voice of one girl can be powerful, that it can scare people with guns. Let your age not stop you from your activism. Your age is just a number. We need your voice.
Wow, that's amazing. Yes, yes. Now, before we conclude, I know there's so many ways to protect your mental health and well-being. So what is one thing, Edith, Carolina, and Joshua, what's one thing you do for yourself on a daily basis just to check in with your mental health? Carolina, you can go first.
Sure, great question. I usually go for a walk with my partner every morning, and he gets his coffee, and I really just love connecting with nature and listening to the birds. Having that peaceful routine in the morning is the way I find, just to look after myself before starting the day.
Right. What about Joshua?
Okay,
What's
I
one
love
thing you do
nature.
for yourself?
Okay, I love nature, and early morning I can come out and look at the bushes. Like, I'm a poet, so I can pick up my pen and start writing. Looking at the birds and appreciating nature. Then also I do a lot of meditation on my achievements. Look at the achievements of my mentors because it helps to bring me back. So these are the little ones I am doing for now.
Right. What about Edith? What's one thing?
Personally, Personally, I do a lot of self-reflection and just meditation, reflecting on what has gone right and what has gone wrong and how I can improve about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. We have one thing in common, meditation. So meditation is actually a very good tool for people who are listening, because you can find it online. It's free. You don't actually need to pay for it. You can just follow people on the internet, Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, and just meditate. And it's something you need to practice. I think I always say people feel they're struggling a lot with their mental health. That is a good way to quieten your mind a little bit. And it just makes you feel peaceful as well if you just practice it on a daily basis. So before we finish, Edith, because you're here now, where can people find information about the Global Youth Mental Health Awareness?
Okay, we have our website, so it's www.globalyouthmentalhealthawareness.org. People can also email jude@jimha.org, and also we have social media platforms, that is Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
Thank you. And that's all for today. Thank you, Carolina. Thank you, Joshua. Thank you, Edith, for your insights and for sharing those amazing tools that we can all use to improve our mental health, and also just to call out if anything we see out there that we were not aware of. It's always good to learn and always just look out for your brother and sister. Thank you to the fabulous audience for watching the Global Youth Mental Health Awareness Show. Until next time, take care.
Bye. Take care. Thanks, Katinda.
Bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.